Welcome to Echoes and Roots. I'm Sabine, and I guide you back to nature, to your inner wisdom, and our ancestral ways of living in harmony with Mother Earth and the cosmos. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back as well. And today's episode is intimacy, self-love, and relationships, nourishing the fire element within you. And I've chosen this topic because energetically and from nature's cycles, we moved into a summer season actually. And that means there are changes going on in our bodies, and there are certain ways how we can support our body in the following weeks and the following months. Now, in our Western, now modern calendar, we see summer beginning at the solstice. But when you are, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, actually our ancestors and also in Chinese medicine, energetically, summer really begins in May, at the beginning of May, and our Celtic ancestors celebrated Beltane, which is exactly the midpoint between the equinox and the solstice. And the solstice is actually the height of summer, the maximum yang, the most expansion. And the beginning of summer is the midpoint. Astronomically, it would be around 5th, 6th May. And also in the calendars that they use for in the philosophy of Taoism, Chinese medicine, the beginning of summer is also placed in May. And what that means, so within nature, we see a massive shift of energy. And that same shift we feel in our body. And that shift actually means that the energy in our physical organs and meridian starts to support different systems. And with that also comes, when we want to support that, it comes a different focus in our life. So we are moving in spring. We had the wood element being very present energetically, and wood really stands for, you see this like new birth, right? We have like this massive growth, expansion, fertility, creativity, leadership, new growth. That's the wood element. In our body, the liver and the gallbladder were very active in those months of spring. So there's a lot of, as we know, liver has a lot to do with fertility, with blood, but also with leadership, generally with growth, also with cleansing. That's why cleanses are so good in spring. Now, as we shifted, Mother Earth has shifted her energetic focus, which impacts us as well. We shifted into the fire elemental season, which is one of the most beautiful. I mean, all seasons are beautiful. All seasons are so important and so beautiful, and all the elements are, including the winter decade, going internal, because in the winter actually we can only create growth and new birth out of the decay, out of the death in winter. That's a very important season too. But now we're talking about summer. And so we shifted into the fire element. And the fire element in our body is the energy now that's very active, very present in our body, is the heart and its related meridians, the pericardium, the sanjiao, and the small intestine. And so the topics change that we are engaging with, and we are moving basically into joy. We are moving into relationships, we are moving into intimacy, into fun, into really spending time with friends or family. It's like, especially the heart, like relationships, is a massive focus now. And so I felt really called to bring on this podcast about this, to get us into the spirit, to support our body, to support ourselves with this. Now, if you want to dive deeper really into Chinese medicine, into supporting your body through diet, through exercises, through lifestyle, I have seasonal well-being courses that are focused on taking you along, taking your health along in all of the seasons, but also supporting these elements. And I'm going to link it in the show notes, but also with the elements is that So we have all of the elements within us, and we move through them. The energy in our body and our organs move through them throughout the year. Also daily, we have a day rhythm as well, right? And then we have a monthly, as women, we have a monthly rhythm, we have the yearly rhythm. Also on a monthly rhythm, as women, we are moving through these elements. Well, now we also have, apart from that rhythmic movement through the elements, through the different meridians and organs, we have a primary element that we are born with, that is part of your crystalline energetic structure, light bodies from which the physical body is created. It's part of your soul, and it's really part of your character. And in the philosophy of acupuncture that I follow in the Japanese, as well as the 5 elemental philosophy, what we are doing, we are basically treating people based on their core element, because when you bring the core element into balance, it means somebody really is thriving in life in terms of physical health, mental health, being on mission, being on soul, like really connected to their soul. And generally, what we see a lot when we see symptoms showing up, it is either like part of the core element, or it is one of the connecting elements in the elemental cycles that basically gets depleted or gets into excess, because the core element is our strength, but it is also the one that is, in a way, needs the most support, right? It's also the weakest. Always. And so we have people out there whose core primary element, and we usually have a primary and a secondary element in our character. And so we have many people out there whose primary as well as secondary element is fire. And so you can also use my courses to simply support your primary element. And you love fire people because they are like the social ones. Think of Leo, like as the when you look from astrology, Leo has a lot of fire, right? Think of that. Think of Leo personality. This is the fire element. We also have, because with fire in Chinese medicine, we not just have the very outward kind of the heart. We also have the more the fire of the people that are just really warm, then maybe not necessarily center stage, but they have this warmth that they just bring to the table, bring to community, and they're often like funny in a way, and they just have character, they have spirit. And when this goes into let's say the opposite direction, right? When this element isn't supported enough in you, very often these people can show up with big depressions. You know, they act, instead of being that colorful, that expressive, that like like the scent of the party kind of thing, you go into the opposite side, the gray mouse, you know, really depressed, like down, like not positive about life. So that's why also for my little fire element people here, I want to support you a little bit in your fire, because it's a beautiful element. So yes, now we're gonna start with feeling before I start talking for an hour, right? We're gonna feel first in our body the elements, the fire element, the heart and its meridians. And then I'm gonna go into intimacy and how we can create intimacy with ourselves, but also in relationships, because this is the fire element is so the most, in a way, well, there isn't really the most important. Actually, the center of the elemental cycle was originally the earth, because the mother earth, she is the mother, she is what creates us, she is what can take life, she is the center. So she was the center. And then the second most important axis is the fire, also in the body, is the fire and the water axis. It's like the heart kidney axis, and we're gonna work also today with the heart womb, which is like the heart kidney axis. That is so vital in us. These two constantly, the fire and the water, constantly have to balance themselves out. It's like the sun, the moon, the yin and yang. It's like what makes life, you know, what makes life flowing and balanced. It's also juicy and spicy, and you need the both. And if you, for instance, if you have a lot of fire energy, even from astrology, you're gonna want to balance this with water. And you see that also if we have water, actually water types, you know, for them that fire element is also very important, because they need that as a balance. So Yeah, let's feel. Let's get into the body. Now, we're going to work with the meridians that support and protect the heart, because from my philosophy of acupuncture, we do not directly get at the heart. The heart is the emperor, it's the queen, the king. I would not treat directly on the heart meridian, because this is just it's literally the most precious of all the meridians. So we work with the meridians that protect it, that work with it. So we're gonna first now start. I wanted you to feel the pericardium. So we're gonna do acupressure, and acupressure is actually doesn't have to be like I'm pressing into here. Acupressure is meaning you feel the energy. The energy is subtle in your body, so it's just gentle touch. We're gonna do pericardium 8. So you're just gonna make fist open and close your hands, and where your middle finger arrives, that is where pericardium 8 is. I'm going to tell you a bit more about this point, but it's not exactly center of your hand, it's a little bit off, but you're going to take one of your hands. Where does the middle finger naturally arrive? When you make an open and closed fist, and then you take your thumb and you're going to hold this point. And as I said, gentle, you can close your eyes because I want you to feel. It's very active, so I've talked about this point in the last podcast as well, because this is the heart chakra. This is where we literally, when we do energy healing, everybody has healing energy in their hands. This is the point where the healing energy comes out of. At this point, you can just do acupressure on this to calm down the heart, to calm down anxiety, there's other great points for sleep, but you could also use this one. Calm you down for sleep, because sleep has to do with the heart and with the liver, but a lot to do with the heart. The Shen needs to be settled. I was talking about this. Your heart needs to have really settled energy, calm energy. This is to calm your nerves, to also work when there's any kind of upset on the heart, heartbreaks, palpitations, obviously physical symptoms. So just feel this point for a moment. It's a really big chakra in itself. It's connected to our heart chakra. It's beautiful. This is also the chakra that when we touch Mother Earth, we exchange beautiful healing energy with her. We usually take in energy through our kidneys, through a point, kidney 1, at the sole of our feet. And this is how we would give love to Mother Earth, by touching her trees, touching her stones, touching the soil, having water, her waters flow over our hands. This is how we give love. And we receive a lot, as I said, especially from Mother Earth, through the soles of our feet, kidney 1. Now we're going to do it on the other hand. We always have the points on both sides. So again, find your middle finger. Where does it land? You make a fist, that's where your point is. Gentle touch with your thumb. Feeling into the texture, the temperature, any sensations you feel. Differences left and right. Usually we have energetic differences left and right. It's good to notice. Also breathing into your heart, because as I said, from here you can draw in the breath, the prana, the chi, bringing it into your heart and then spreading it out over your arms, your hands, into your hands. This is how you So give energy to others through your hands, also breathing in through the soles of your feet. As I said, we take in earth energy, really grounding energy through the soles of our feet. It's the connection earth to God, like when you breathe, the breath is the connection to the divine. And the soil, our feet, the energy we take in through the soles of our feet is the connection to Mother Earth. Grounding us here, and then it all comes together in the heart, and from here it flows, and you can have it flow into your hands, into this point, pericardium 8. Now we're gonna connect what's called the 3 burners in the body. This is the 3 burners, the energy here is governed by the Sanjiao, another heart protective meridian, heart connective meridian. And I invite you first, so you're gonna put your hands above each other. I'm just gonna left, above, right, and I'm gonna get up so you see me. So you're gonna first put it over the point we did last time, Ren 17. This is level on the sternum center line. 4th intercostal space, level of your nipples, if you're a man specifically. This is called Dansong in Chinese, Sea of Qi, Storehouse of light. We've been working with this point. You can switch around what feels better for you. Right over left, left over right, it's up to you. Eighth chakra, incredible point. On a physical level, governs the heart, governs the chest, governs the lungs. Sea of Qi gives us a lot of energy. Also we're gonna activate now the Sanjiao meridian, which it governs the flow through all the burners, through all the different aspects of our body, but also our immunity and our boundaries. I was talking about this last time. External boundaries, the auric field here. What's that auric field? Now, this is the upper burner. Middle burner, midpoint between your umbilicus and the sternocostal angle. Midpoint, yeah. Generally point governs the stomach, governs also this is the third chakra, right? Very important for digestion, but in general, it's called Songban, central core, because it's so important for this sort of storehouse action, the qi we are taking in through what we drink and eat. So here we have the soul qi, the qi we're taking also in, so the breath, the God, let's say the spark of God, Ren 17. Here we have what we consume every single day, the qi we are taking in through the diet. This is the middle burner. And now we're going down to a point below the umbilicus. And we have here Ren 5. So you have your umbilicus, Ren 8, and you take three fingers below. You're coming to Ren 5 again, just putting both hands on top of each other, really breathing into from this point, the pericardium 8 center of your hands into here. Connecting your hands, center of your hands, chakra, with this area. This is your hara, lower abdomen. And Ren 5 is called Stone Gateway. So this is the gateway. Here generally we have the energy also stored from our ancestor. we can access the energy from our ancestors, from the DNA. It just started between the kidneys, but we can access from lower here, from the lower Dantian, from the Hara. And so this point basically connects all the 5 elements within us. And it connects the connection we have to Mother Earth, to our DNA, to the ancestors. So you have up here the Chi, prana, the life force of God. Here you have everything you take in through with this physical body, so diet, and here you have the connection to Earth, the ancestral. And the Sanjara Meridian connects it all together. It makes it all flow together, because this is what life is. It's what we bring in, the DNA. It's what we take in every day, and what we breathe in from God also every day. And as we're going to talk about intimacy, I now want you to place one hand up and see me make two stories up for some cuddles. You leave one hand on the lower abdomen. Just going to feel the turn around to do that. And then one hand up here over the heart. And we're just going to connect this meridian we're going to work with today as well, to what I'm going to explain. The heart-uterus connection is so important for us women. And you can breathe into your heart, and then take the breath down, make a line through the center, down into your lower abdomen, into your hara, into your uterus, and bring in and down, strengthening that meridian, strengthening that inner knowing that we gather as women when we are centered here, when we are centering our heart into the wisdom of the uterus. And I invite the men who watch to do the same, because you also have your storehouse of energy down here in the hara and the lower abdomen. So breathing in through the heart, down into your sexual organs. And now I'm gonna just sit close again. I'm gonna explain you some things. So this connection, the heart, uterus, the ground mind, is also this connection how we develop very deep intimacy. And the path of intimacy, especially for a woman, and there are different levels of intimacy, and we're going to talk about them. And the deepest level, in a way, is the sexual intimacy, the sexual union, the true union of souls. But in order to even come there, there's other levels of intimacy that have to be developed first. So for sexual intimacy to really flourish, we need to establish trust and respect in all other areas of life. And the other parts of intimacy are part of that, establishing trust and respect with each other. And that usually goes first via the heart. And when the heart, so what happens is, specifically in a woman, like when trust and respect is established, a woman's heart opens like a lotus. And it's absolutely beautiful. And we have ancient sites that are built in the shape of a lotus. So Skarabrae in Orkney, which was an ancient mystery school, is literally built in the shape of a lotus, because our ancestors knew how important the lotus is, and we have the lotus as a symbolism in many different spiritual traditions. Now the heart opens as a lotus first, and then through this trust and respect is established to yourself. We are talking today about intimacy to yourself and to another in a romantic relationship. or in any, like, I mean, we're going to come on to the sexual intimacy, which is part of romantic relationship, but any relationship, right? So it's first to yourself, then so this lotus opens, and then from that lotus opening here, then the Bao Mai really, it just fills with this energy, and then literally the sexual organs, the uterus opens like a lotus too. And it is absolutely incredible. And this is how your sexual organs as a woman, your uterus literally becomes like this sort of this stargate, this gate for higher consciousness. This isn't about just physical pleasure. This is really about consciousness as well, and evolution, soul evolution. Now, let's talk about the different levels of intimacy that we can establish towards ourselves and with others. First level is the mental level, the mental intimacy. And in a relationship with someone else, this means, of course, that we're going to have deep conversations with someone, that we really share and exchange on, philosophical topics, on our worldview, on what we care about in life, what drives us, what motivates us. And so important in long-term relationships, especially when you have children, is that conversations go beyond the transactional level. So think about just, who is driving Matt tomorrow to soccer? Who's going to do the shopping? Like, very often relationships break down, or marriages break down, because already this man and woman don't anymore talk in a deep way with each other. And it's important that you take time, when you have children, you take time away from the children together as a couple. So you have these conversations where you really deeply, you are curious about each other, you are curious about the other person, about their worldview, their development. And people change, right? We change through our lives, and you stay curious about that person. You want to know what they think, what they feel, what moves them, what is their opinion about certain things. And so everybody in that relationship really feels seen and feels heard, and also understood, even if you have different opinions. It is so important. And on a personal level, when you establish that relationship towards yourself, right, is the question: how do you talk to yourself? How do you deal with your mind? As I said, I think I said in one of my previous podcasts, who controls the mind controls you. And really, what are the thoughts we're having? How are we talking to ourselves? How supportive are we of ourselves with our mind talk? What do we allow in our mind? And this is where so much, literally, in this life is about mastery. And mastery isn't easy always. Mastery means that we are gonna have boundaries. We're gonna be strict with ourselves about the voices in our head, because most of the time these voices are not even necessarily our own. There's like stuff we took up from childhood, the voice of our, mother, father, whoever, like it's what's going on in the collective field. So but this is really developing this relationship with our mind and seeing, okay, where is my mind actually not in service to myself, and where is it in service to myself? Yeah, mental intimacy. Next one, emotional intimacy. Not always easy for everybody. And of course, emotional intimacy means that we are vulnerable. And as I said, this level of intimacy, it comes with trust and respect. And this takes time to be vulnerable towards someone else. Also, being honest and vulnerable towards yourself. So often we can live in denial of our true needs, our true desires, our true feelings. We are not living in integrity and in honesty with ourselves. Because we shut down our dreams, we shut down our needs, we shut down what we truly want in life, what we truly desire. So vulnerability also is starts about us being vulnerable with ourselves. And then, of course, just waiting because my cat wants to get out. Let's see if she's going to complain more. And then, of course, with one another, and being open. And this also has to do, last time I talked a lot about the attachment styles, right? How much do we trust? How much do we feel safe to be vulnerable with someone? Means we are working through also our own traumas, so that we don't just project a trauma on another relationship and feel we cannot trust anyone anymore. And so we can never be vulnerable, we can never be open. And let me just open the door for my cat. I think she's running the show every single podcast. But yeah, she's a woman, Yep. Safety, that is the second point, right? We need to establish safety with one another. How do you feel safe? Well, you trust one another. You talk about things. Safety, also establishing safety within ourselves. It's a huge task. It's a lifetime. It's a lifetime of inner work, I feel, to establish safety within us, to actually trust ourselves. Because all of these points I'm saying isn't just about romantic relationships or friendships or whatever. This is about ourselves as well. Do we trust? Do we have our own back? Do we trust ourselves? With life. Do we feel we can manage life? We can go through life. Presence is a really interesting one, because in the age of the mobile phone and constant distraction, I'm realizing more and more how being present with someone else, even with anyone, with ourselves, with our kids, with ourselves first. What am I feeling? So often, right, we shut it down, or we distract ourselves from what we are feeling. We're just gonna go on the phone, we do something else, we eat, whatever, we're gonna do. But am I present with what's going on inside of here? Am I present with other people? Do I turn the phone off? Am I really there? Or not even just the phone, am I mentally, also me as a mother, I observe this a lot, when I'm asking myself, am I actually really present with my kids, or do I think about the washing, the cooking, the this and that, my work, I think a lot about topics of my work, like ancient sites and whatever I find interesting. I'm like, am I actually really here when they ask me something? Presence, curiosity. Yes, staying curious about the other person, wanting to understand who are they, being curious about ourselves as well. Who are we? What drives us, what motivates us? Who is this person here? Just running this life. Being curious, staying curious about ourselves, trying to understand ourselves, trying to understand others. Responsiveness. Responsiveness means that, we're reacting, right? We're not just ignoring people. How would the whole thing, that's part of the attachment side, right? When people just run in the stone wall, terrible, the stone walling, and there is an element of, healing that is much to simply say, I need my own space. I am going to come back to you, because stone walling is just shutting it down, never talking about it, right? And it feels, if you're on the receiving end of stonewalling, it feels terrible. And, it's a long path to be really from someone to be okay, I need my own space, because that is a need as well, to be okay, I need to process this. I'm feeling all of these things. I just need my own space, but I am going to come back to you when I'm, calm, ready, whatever, and we can discuss it later. So responsiveness. Now, so we talked about mental, emotional. Next, intimacy, physical intimacy. And I'm not talking about sexual here. I'm talking about physical intimacy. So in a relationship with someone else, this is non-sexual touch, hugs, hand-holding, cuddling. So important. Not every touch has to lead to sex. I cannot stress how important this is, especially for women. You know, and for men maybe too. I don't know, I'm not a man. I'm speaking here from the perspective of women, so very curious, like you men can comment on this. But I tell you, like sexual, like especially for women, you know, if you really wanted to open up to have like the most amazing time with her sexually, you know, there is all these other levels of intimacy that needs to be established. A, first. B, there needs to be also touch that is non-sexual at times. It does serve a man when you don't put pressure on that everything has to be leading to sex, because a woman might just need the time to move into that, you know, or might just at that moment appreciate non-sexual touch, non-sexual, you know, encounters. Another thing for you men out there listening, what is so important for your sex life, you need to take the load off a woman. I tell you, a woman has just no capacity for amazing hour-long sex life if her mind is full with, oh my god, everything that needs to be organized for the house, the kids, the career, all these things. Like, that's why, man, oh my god, you really, if you take the mental load off a woman, if you like take charge of certain things in the home, if you help her with things, I tell you, she then has free space for other things. So, you know, then the other thing, of course, of that is that as women, I mean, it's totally natural for a man to show how much he desires his woman. But there is the other side as well, that as women, like, I think it's really important that we are very comfortable in our body. Because A, for ourselves, to like this body, to nourish it, to be comfortable with it, but also is very attractive to your man. With being comfortable in our body also comes with valuing our body, valuing our physical body, valuing also, my god, our sexual energy. And to me personally, you know, when it comes to valuing my own body, there is also a level of exclusivity that comes there for me. That is personally for me, you know, my body is for me and it's for my man. It is not for any other, like they're like whatever, you know, creepy sexual energy of any other man. No, that's not where my body is for. And you know, in our nowadays societies is so much of like just, oh, women have to be always like with their bodies available and show their bodies, and we are all free. And I'm like, you know, I don't know, there is really a mismatch to me between what is freedom and what is not valuing my body and not protecting my sexual, my physical boundaries, you know, and having like all kind of creepy, like, I don't want creepy sexual energy of other men on me. Like, hello? Like, why? You know, and women using their body for attention, there's a big thing there. That's again, like, that's like trauma, right? That's trauma that we can address. You can observe this when women lead very much with their sexuality, their sensuality. What happens very often, it does attract the wrong type of material. Unless you're into one-night stands and just engages for sex, okay, fine. But generally, you know, if you want like a serious man, if you want a committed relationship, you know, it does send the total wrong signals in so many ways. Because what you're going to get, you're going to get men who are just only interested in sex, or you're going to get men who are only interested in very shallow, only interested in your body. You know, you're going to signal, well, you know, I don't have boundaries, I'm kind of like available to everybody. So that also generally attracts men who are equally just, you know, very loyal and committed and available sexually for everybody, and not just checking you out, but checking out like everybody else too. Yeah, you know, I mean, this is my personal opinion on this. I have to say, I am conservative when it comes to relationships, and to committed relationships, you know. But yeah, you know, you need to know as a woman what you want. and what you are putting out there energetically, because you're going to attract what you're going to put out there. And it's really important as a woman to be very, very clear what you are looking for in a relationship, in a man, like how you're valuing this body. And when it comes to just for ourselves, like the intimacy with ourselves, right? The question is really, how do we take care of this body? I mean, what do we put into the body? Like, what kind of beauty, what kind of exercise routine does nourish us, does suit us? And last podcast I was talking about that, like the biohacking is a little bit very masculine approach to optimizing your life. But of course, as a woman who values her body, who loves her body, we do want to feel good. So we're going to have some sort of beauty, of health, of fitness routine, because it makes us feel good. It's important to move the energy in our body. It's important to feel good, to feel fit, to wherever you want to feel, right? So yeah, it's all about that, our own physical, and even like our own, as I said, like, I mean, I'm doing this acupressure, the meridian yoga. It's also like we do a lot of self-massage in that too, because it's important to touch our own bodies, and especially non-sexual touch, to massage ourselves. Yeah. And yeah, there is this whole, like, as I said, this whole movement out there, oh, women should be open and surrender, and, like, we are all free. And, and I'm like, should we really? Should we really? Or should we just be actually very picky and have some discernment and have some boundaries around our physical body and our sexual energy specifically. But yeah, it's up in the end of the day to every woman, how you try best. But it is important that you, as a woman, you deeply value actually your own needs. And you're not going to do what society says or what is trendy or what other women are doing. You do what truly here, deep down, what is coming from your heart and from your soul, and what is rooted in your own self-worth, your own self-respect. Yeah, that's physical. Now, next one, spiritual intimacy. So spiritual intimacy actually is really important, and I'm just stroking my cat. She's enjoying. She's getting massage as well. I'm doing a podcast, and serving something higher than us. Our mission isn't just having a relationship, getting home and getting a man, like having some children. This is an utter loss of the gifts that God has given us. We've all come here with our own personal mission as well, with the talents we give, with something we gonna give back to society. Everybody has incredible personal talents, and this is what we came here to serve. This is how we serve God. And of course, also in our relationships, while we are raising children, we can serve God. But there is some more outside of that. And that's why it's also important when we are picky with our partners to know, hey, actually, does that partner that I am here choosing, does he or she have a mission? Does she have some sort of purpose outside of just like whatever, eating, drinking, and procreating? Because if he or she has a mission, it is a much, to me, like that is like, I don't know, people who have a clear mission, who want to really like bring their talents forward, they have a certain drive in life, and they have also a certain trust. And it's also about the trust in God and the self-development. So really having this, if I want to serve God in the best way, I'm going to engage in some self-development. because we all, as I said, come in with our little traumas, our little issues, and everything. But if we are willing to work on ourselves, if we are willing to really show up in a way for ourselves, for our own development, it's big. Like, you can't, it's very hard to have a relationship with someone who's constantly like, oh, this is just me, like, you either take me how I am or whatever. Like, yes, we do have to accept we cannot really change people. Yes, we cannot change people, we cannot control people, we cannot change people, and there is a thing. But the thing is, I think both people need to recognize that we are coming into relationships as well with our own issues and our own traumas, and that if we want that relationship to work, we both have to work on it and on ourselves, because nobody's perfect in the end of the day. And it does not mean, we're not respecting who the other person is, or, that we are who character a certain way. You do that. I mean, that is the thing. Also, of course, you do need to like somebody for who they truly are, and not for what you project onto them or what you want to see or where you think they might be going, no, but for who they are, But then knowing that, or ideally like figuring out, oh, that person, does this person actually have like an attitude to life where they do want to work on self-development, on development also of the relationship, where they want to work for a relationship, towards the growth, but then also for their own growth. And in general, for me in life, I realized the best approach for me personally is, God comes first. My service to God comes first. And the trust in God I have. And what God wants for me comes first. Then comes me. And then comes the man or my relationship. Or everybody else. And it is sometimes, I'm saying this because, we as women, we are very giving and very nurturing, and we can very easily put everybody else in front of us. We can very easily give, and I've experienced it for myself as well, give everything to the man we love, to the children, to the relationship, to the marriage, and we lose ourselves. We neglect all our own needs, and it is in service to no one when we do this. It is not in service to anyone. When we work from an empty cup, when we neglect ourselves, when we override our desires, override our needs. So we do have to, because we are so nurturing, because we are so giving, we are really so giving as women, and we have to remind ourselves of that. And when once we love someone, we just, we do want to create the world for them. We want to create the home, the family, everything, for that person. We want to just pour everything into that relationship. But it's so important to remind ourselves that we have to come before that, because otherwise we forget ourselves. We run ourselves empty, and it's just not in service. And then we're gonna act out of like really like, when you act out of empty reserves, you're gonna become like emotionally unstable. It's not good. It's just not good. That's why we have to put ourselves first. And then for me personally, I also put God above that. And I know that, for instance, God orchestrates relationships. I really, really believe in this, that God is selecting. I mean, I'm sure my higher self has made the plan before I came in, right? But the human speed, human speed can get sidetracked. And it is just better to remind myself that God is selecting the relationship that is the best for my own growth and for my service to God. And so I therefore shall not get in between and should not sabotage God's plan, because we can as humans, because we can act out of whatever, like insecurities, out of like, oh my God, like desperation, or whatever, we're gonna act out of and sabotage things, sabotage God's plans, and then we end up with something that is in a way also orchestrated by God, because everything is, but it's just gonna be another learning and another headache, in a way. Not a headache, but it's gonna be like some sort of learning that isn't maybe so enjoyable. So really trusting God, that God is gonna just orchestrate what is right for us. I find it so important, really important, having the trust in God. And having the spiritual also in a relationship, right? When two people have their own spiritual lives in a way that respecting that, right? That people have their spiritual practices, and that this is important to people. That their relationship, each relationship with God, however you want to call it, is important to that individual, and that they need the space and the time to also nourish that relationship. Because it's, in a way, it's what we are born out of. Like, God creates everything. It's the first relationship, right? Everything else, love, romance, friendships, that's experiences here on this planet, but we came out of God, out of the God field of creation. So it's the first and the last relationship in so many ways. So yeah, next thing. So we talked about the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual intimacy. Now experimental I find really interesting. It's like this kind of thing, like being in life together. So when it's about relationship with someone, being in life together, knowing the other person isn't just there for the good days, he's always there, he's there for the bad days. It's there for it's there for the good and bad, for like when the kids are sick, when things go wrong, like that, you have each other's back. And also experimental also to me means like taking time out to just have fun, to not always have all serious, to not be always focused on just the life, the career, the home, the kids, the whatever, also having the quality time with each other. And the experimental, with yourself is also like, when you develop this intimacy with yourself, it's also just about like you, like, as I said, being this curious, right? It's a little bit the emotional intimacy, but it's also about like just having fun, having your, like, letting your inner child go out and play. And this is summer energy, just also because we're talking about the heart, right? We're talking about summer. It's like really enjoying life. We are here also. The mother Earth has given us this incredible planet, this so beautiful planet, and to enjoy it also, to enjoy it, to go out and have fun. And there's, as a people who believe like, oh my God, we shouldn't procreate anymore because like, anyway, everything is everything goes downhill, and the next generation will not have anymore some good thing to live for or whatever, right? Now, I don't agree with that in a way, because I think Mother Earth loves children. She just loves children. Children are so like I don't know, they're just it's so precious. They're so precious. She loves them. But we learn a lot. We have really gone astray from our guardian role, not just of the planet, but also how we are not properly looking after children. Like, right, we allow the children being sacrificed on this planet in front of our eyes. Very much, when you want to know about these things, you can know about these things. And we're allowing it. We're allowing a lot of bloodshed on children, and human trafficking, all of these things, right? So actually, us having children is a big learning path as humanity, where we can do better, where we can change things. It's a massive growth path, as on a personal level. Of course, not everybody needs it, right? Not everybody's here to have children in this life. That's another thing. We shouldn't pressure people into having children who really don't. And there's also a lot of people who are not really fit for parenting. None of us is really fit for parenting. When you have your children, you recognize like, oh my God, I didn't know I had all these issues. Internal like traumas and things like that. Your children are really gonna bring them out, and but that's what I'm saying. It's such a learning path, and there is so much we can do good as a whole, or raise as a civilization, of how we're going to treat children. So that's why it's actually important we have children. How are we going to go on that soul growth path as a civilization if we didn't have children? So anyway, that's my, I don't even know where it was. There was what I wanted to say to it. So the experimental, being like childlike, and having his others back. And also, that's why, as women, we do need to be a bit picky. In many ways, we need to be picky about the man. But, it is a very good thing to figure out how a man is behaving when, when things are not so good. So I always remember, so funny, like the first romantic trip I took with my ex-husband. He took me to Paris. He organized everything, like a romantic trip to Paris, and over New Year's, and it was our first trip together. And he, of course, I'm most likely he had in his mind, what this is gonna be like, and this is gonna be really fun, and there's gonna be a lot of sex and stuff. What happened though is that I got pretty much on the first day we were in Paris, I got food poisoning. So instead of at the hot sex, I was throwing up. Sorry, but it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny, but when I'm thinking back of it from a man's perspective, I'm just like, so I was throwing up in the bathroom. But it was also God, honestly, God is orchestrating these things, because literally I could see how he was behaving in that situation, and he was behaving incredibly good. Like, oh my God, he like went out, he bought me like a kind of like herbal tea. He really looked after me. He was really good. And I mean, I've selected this man, right, to have children with and to marry later on. And rest assured, every single time I was sick, I mean, my ex-husband, he is a good man. Like, literally, he went out, he bought organic chicken, made me a chicken soup, delivered it to my bed. Not because I asked. I never asked for any of these things, just because he felt he should be looking after me. And this is what you want as a woman. You want to see how a man is behaving in situations that not necessarily go as you might have expected. And rest assured, that's why I'm saying God is orchestrating relationships. God will show you. God will show you how the man is going to behave. And equally, right, for man as well, because man also should be selecting properly. Otherwise you get, well, there is not good material in both men and women. So also men should select well. Because for a man, I'm going to come to this. If you select the right woman, same for a woman, right? A woman, you cannot imagine, if a man really, I feel, a man is in so many ways actually here to serve the feminine, to serve the woman, because he only benefits from it. He only benefits from it. If a man is serious, is committed, is loyal, is like supporting his woman, in whatever way. Support doesn't mean a man has to be the, sole income earner. Doesn't mean he has to earn more than a woman. But he has to be willing to step up and to support her also with financial means. If she, for instance, I don't know, if you have children, she needs to step back or whatever happens in life, he has to be willing to look after her, to be a provider. Really important. Doesn't mean he has to always have all the money or he always needs to earn more or whatever. No, but the willingness of that man, because he so much loves this woman. He really knows she is so precious. So he's really willing to protect that relationship, to step up if it needed, to step up to make, because men step up for everything. Men step up for their career, they step up for their six-pack, they step up for their six-figure, six-pack, whatever. A man definitely, certainly, if he cares, can step up for the family. And the thing is, if a man does that, oh my God, if a man does that, if a woman feels she is truly supported by a man, a woman, because we are so nurturing, we are so loving, oh my God, she will love you. She will not care how you look. She will not care if you have the six. This is only the six-figure, the six-pack is for a shallow woman. Like a woman who truly loves you, she will not care about these things because she's interested in your deeper personality, in your heart. Are you a good man? Are you loyal? Are you committed and devoted to this? She will find you utterly attractive. No matter if you have a couple of kilos more, if you're tall, you're small, does not matter. You know, if you really like nourish her, like, oh my God, support her, she will find you utterly attractive. She will love you. You will have the most amazing sex. She will create you a home. She will create you a family. And it will make the man incredibly successful. Because, of course, every man should also have a mission outside of just, right, working, like being a provider or whatever the man wants to do, right? Men have important missions, you know, they go out in the world, they build something, they, I don't know, lead something, whatever man like to do. And, but I tell you, if you like make the woman the center of your life, holy moly, you are so settled. You are just like, you have the world at home, you know. What you want more? Like, that's why it makes a man so successful. If you invest in the success of your woman, because remember, as I said, your woman will also have a mission that is not tied to the relationship or to the children. She will have her own mission. But if you support her in her success, you're gonna get it back a million of times. It's very easy, actually. You know, this kind of stuff is easy, but it's not so easy once it's in practice. On the paper, it seems very easy. So, we're coming from the experimental, from seeing how a man is taking care of you, you know, when you're not looking so good, feeling so good. You know, when he's not necessarily getting what he expected, what he thought he might be getting. Yep. Now, the deepest level of intimacy. So, as I said, you know, for a woman, all of this intimacy, also for ourselves, when we develop intimacy with ourselves, we have to fulfill all of these different levels of intimacy for the heart to really open like a lotus, and then hop, the uterus opens like a lotus, and we come to sexual intimacy. Now, sexual intimacy can be so many more things than, of course, you know, how we understand sex. I need to drink more. Now coming to the juicy topics. I hope this is not gonna get censored, because I'm mentioning so often, you know, some words. Maybe I don't even know what YouTube censors these days, but no. Either way. So, sexual intimacy. That's why I'm saying, like, you first have to establish trust and respect, really respect also towards, for the other person, both sides, right? Woman respecting the man, man respecting the woman, trust. For a woman to really be able to fully open up to you. We are not talking here about, like, what happens at one night stands or, like, you know, casual relationships. We are talking here what you can develop if you are, like, in a deeply committed relationship with someone, because that level of intimacy is absolutely unrivaled to anything you can have, like when you're just gonna go out and have some sex with a random person. That's why it's, in my opinion, a total waste of time, and oh my God, a total, like, anyway, it's a total disrespect to your DNA and your energy, but, you know, that's my perspective. You can have much more incredible things in a committed relationship. So, because there you can be really kind of naked in front of the other person, unashamed, and the sex can become very healing. It isn't just about physical pleasure, because we hold a lot in our body. It can be a total healing experience, a physical healing experience for the tissues of your body, because we store a lot of tissues. And I was explaining the other day how Mother Earth, if she experienced trauma, she goes dormant, the land goes dormant, parts of our heart go dormant, part of our tissues go dormant, also in the sexual organs, and well, you can experience all kind of healing there together. And then there is the whole spiritual aspect of the merging of the souls. that is beyond any level of physical pleasures. There are practices, that are having to do with like really very spiritual soul merging that you cannot fathom. This goes beyond any of the whatever tantric stuff is being taught out there. This is about like literally opening. You can go in whole communion with like the God field in unions like that, by connecting your chakras, your energies with each other, your kundalini with each other, and you can open gates, stargates for energies to come in. It's like there's all kind of things you can do, and there is a really big spiritual aspect to the physical sex. And there's also, so I wanted to talk a little bit about fertility as well, because especially when it comes to the sexual aspect. So we have this, this whole thing around like, women feeling so pressured into getting into a relationship, into like establish whatever, getting married, having children, also because of hormones, because of society, and because of what we believe around our fertility now. And this really creates a lot of issues, because it creates a situation where out of a sudden we have in our society women competing for men and women chasing after men. And this is an utter disrespect to the feminine energy. We shall never compete for men. We are not up here for competition. Also, I really believe women, and yeah, you can call me traditional, a woman should not chase after a man. This just brings us into trouble, into deep, deep trouble. It is a man. Yes, we are selecting, among the men who are showing interest in us. We are selecting, well, is this, whatever, like you want, if you want a committed relationship, right? If you want a husband, a father, you're like, oh man, does this man have any kind of like husband and father qualities? But generally, I think it's so important that a man, because men A, love to hunt, B, men also need to be like, okay, I like this woman, I find her attractive. As I said, there is a big part of a man like really like thriving on the sexual relation by making really clear how attracted he is to his woman once you are in a committed relationship, right? And that can only happen if the man in the first place has actually chosen also that he likes this woman. But what happens when women start chasing after men? Women get totally into masculine energy, which we shouldn't be into, because the chasing, that's a masculine energy. It's like desperation. It's often based out of trauma, out of desperation, of not wanting to be alone. Like, it puts us into a situation where like, I need to be chosen. And it's terrible, because our hearts, we are so giving, so loving. Our hearts are very tender. When our hearts break because whatever, the man doesn't want us, it's terrible. It's terrible. We have too sensitive hearts. We give too much for that kind of stuff. So that we are in the masculine energy. Then who do we get? Who lets himself be chased? Let's be also honest about the male material that lets himself be chased by women. Generally, it's the weak, the feminine man. A masculine man is not going to do it. A masculine man wants to clearly get his prize, get his woman, be the chaser. But what you're going to get is the man who is just sitting back on the couch, who has some trauma, some issues, who just lets himself be convinced. I find it so crazy. How can a man be convinced that he likes you, that he finds you attractive? I don't really know. But anyway, he lets himself be chased. It's a total feminine man. And then and it's the worst thing is if you actually get that guy and you somehow get him down for marriage or children. Oh my God, as a woman, terrible. Because how this guy, the feminine man, how do you ever expect him to lead? You will just run yourself into a burnout as a woman, because as you let from the beginning, you're gonna have to make all the decisions. You're gonna have to drive everything. You're gonna have to do everything. The guy is just on a ride here. And oh my God, oh my God, you're gonna hate it. Eventually, you're gonna hate it. You're gonna find yourself in a burnout. You're just gonna be like, that's the thing. You're gonna lose respect for the man. You really if I look at these scenarios, where I see like a feminine man with a woman and a man who's been chased down by some woman, I'm just like, I don't have any respect for those men. I'm like, what? Like, I don't know. I'm sorry, but I don't have. And the woman generally, because she's going to run the whole thing, she's going to be all the time in the masculine energy, she's going to lose all her respect. And the question is also, does the man actually have any respect for her? Because the woman has just given herself freely, with everything to the guy. No boundaries, no self-worth, also no sexual boundaries, right? I mean, can you then expect that this woman has sexual boundaries with others? If she's just like, oh, I'm here on a plate, take me. I cannot see how the man is gonna really respect the woman or think she has boundaries, sexual boundaries, if she's done that for him. And then the question is also, does that man have actually any sexual boundaries, or does he even find her sexually really attractive? Or is it just he's settling? And oh my God, you never ever want to be the woman a man is settling for. Just because you do everything for him, you're so nice, you gave yourself away to him, And there's many men out there who, happily settle because his dream girl didn't come along. But they're just settling. That means they are not leading the relationship. They are not doing everything for the relationship. They're not going to step up, as the provider if needs to be, or as the protector. No, because they just settled. Their dream girl, they're still kind of secretly looking out there for their dream girl. And one day she might survive. Oh my God, he might be gone. And you are in the deep shit. So, my talk here. A woman is an incredible being. We give life. We are so loving, we are so nurturing, we have so much to give. As I said, we can too easily forget ourselves because we create heaven. We create heaven on earth for a man. But it needs to be the right man. The right man you're going to do this for. Not just a man, not just any man. The right man. And if the right man doesn't come along, whatever. You create heaven on earth for yourself. Because, and as I said, God always has a plan. God has a plan. If it was his plan for you to be in a relationship, it sure will happen eventually. So we talked about the feminine man, which you just don't want the feminine man. But then we have a lot of toxic masculine men, especially who are really out there on Instagram. I'm a masculine man, And then you're a little bit observing, you're a little bit following, and you're just going, no, you are just a control freak. You just tell your woman everything she should be doing, and you think this is masculinity. You just think, you should be the provider, and the woman should be. This is very common in the thread wife movement, really weird movement, where it's oh, I'm the masculine man, I'm the provider, my woman is staying home and she's doing everything I'm saying. No, this is not serving the feminine. That's why I'm saying you don't have to be the sole income provider. You don't have to earn more than your woman even. No, you have to support her in how she's thriving, because when your woman's thriving, maybe some women thrive when they are at home. They really thrive in that setting. Some women really thrive when they're working, when they have their own thing. Every woman is different. Everybody's different on this planet. But when you support your woman in how she is thriving, when she is in a way able to create that life, and you just support her in that life with, and I'm not meaning just financial support, I mean believing in her trusting her, childcare, all of these things, by showing up, the home, like taking a load of her. When you support her in that, she will drive, you will drive. Because we naturally do want to take care of man. There's a lot of nice men out there who are like committed, serious, loyal, who are worth it. They're worth to create a nice life with them. Not for them, but with them. You don't need the toxic masculine leader who thinks he's the boss. It's two people being two people is equal. It's an equal relationship between a man and a woman. It's not one or either is the boss. Because also, of course, when a man totally is in service to the feminine is also in service to the masculine. And that's why I'm saying we naturally, when we feel the support of a man, oh my God, we give so much for a man. We love him over the top. Maybe too much even sometimes. We have this big push into, you need to get this relationship. That's why women start chasing after men, because they feel the hormonal pressure. They need to have children. Now, actually, as a woman, there is so much we can do for our fertility. You can happily, naturally have children well in your 40s, even your early 50s. There is a lot we can do in terms of self-cultivation, lifestyle, diet, like our spiritual path around fertility. But a really big point on fertility actually is not just our own body, our DNA, is the man. The DNA of the man. That is why you don't want to be pressured into just choosing a man or feeling you have to get into a relationship just because you want to have children. You really want to be like, I cultivate myself. I see if the right person comes along and I trust I'm fertile whenever the time is right. But then that you make sure you really also select a good DNA in a man, because often fertility isn't necessarily the woman's issue, it's the man who's the issue. And good DNA in a man isn't necessarily physical attraction. When I think back of my really good relationships, I really loved the man, and really loved his body and everything. Even with my ex-husband, super fertile. I got pregnant both times, first try. Very good DNA match on both sides. And it wasn't that I was physically attracted to this man when I first time saw him, in a sense that I'm like, he's the hottest man on the planet. No, because physical attraction comes with trust and respect. With time, it comes with time, and that's why also I'm telling you, man, your six-pack, your six-pack isn't so important for the right woman. That's important only for the shallow woman and for the whatever physical attraction for maybe one night stand. But for the right woman, this kind of more of a DNA match of really knowing, okay, here actually is a match, and from that follows also a deep attraction towards the body of the other. It comes also with time. I was totally crazy about the body of these men, attracted positively, but it wasn't there from the first moment. Even though, of course, there needs to be some sort of connection, right? It cannot be like, there is some sort of, that's a decent person. Yeah, fine, looks decent. But, it's things that also develop, and you need as a woman a little bit with that DNA match, know yourself. That's why this heart uterus connection is very important, so you can tune into actually the uterus has the knowledge. She knows. Your uterus knows who is the right DNA match and who is not, and who makes you even think of children. Literally with my ex-husband, I knew, from the first time we were intimate, I knew, oh my God, this man I'm going to have children with. It was clear, the DNA. These are things you can develop when you are connected to your body. And I'm just looking at my list. It's a long list, a lot to say, but it is the hard time. It is the fire season, and it's important. Intimacy is so important for all of us. There are some people out there, of course, who are happily single, and don't want to deal with any of that, don't care about relationships or children or whatever, marriage, whatever. But most of us do. So that's a big topic for us to investigate. And summer is an incredible time to feel into your body, to develop that connection between, especially as a woman, between the heart and uterus, so you can act not just from your mental mind, you can really act out of this primal knowing in you. And you can, really value also this, as I said, this self-love, this valuing your body, valuing yourself, valuing your energy, valuing what you bring to the table as a woman. Valuing yourself as a woman. Of course, this holds true for the man listening to. Also, you valuing yourself, right? You don't want to give, as a man, you don't want to give yourself away to bad female material either. Because, you also have some self-worth. Important as a man, also in the man we select. It is important. Is this man sleeping with everybody? Better not. As I said, I think it is good to be picky and to know yourself. So that is it on this juicy topic. Thanks so much for being with me. Thanks so much for listening. And I see you for the next exploration, whatever the topic might be. But we're still in some energy. Might be something else juicy or not. We don't know. So enjoy Mother Earth. Enjoy this beautiful summer coming up. And enjoy the fun, the whatever intimacy you are cultivating there. So until next time, bye-bye. Follow me on Instagram at Echoes and Roots for grounded spirituality, ancient wisdom, and nature-based living.